What's going on with dudes named Russell? Sorry, just one more thing. What is going on with dudes named Russell this year? Just a bad year for Russells. Anyway. Good morning, afternoon, evening, middle of the day, maybe end of your day. Welcome back to the Bros in the Berg podcast. I am here with Connor Doyle, the executive producer and talent of the show. My name is Robbie Bergstone. I am also the talent of the show. And we are missing our deadweight, Ryan Doyle, for the moment. He might show up at some point during this episode. We're hoping that he will arise from hibernation, as we call it. But if he does not, I had that one locked and loaded. But for now, you just have me and Connor on your favorite podcast, The Bros and the Berg. So thank you for tuning in again, and we have another action-packed episode for you this week.
Always, he'll probably show up for the last fun part. Just his brain will be tingling like someone's having fun without me, and then he'll wake up.
But he'll do the part that doesn't require any brain power for. He'll show up for the parts that don't actually require any effort.
He doesn't offer much brain power as it is. I mean, usually. So it's like it's not much of a change.
Just like a hamster on a wheel up there, just going. That's all we got. So
a lot to talk about. The NFL, trade deadline is coming up. The MLB playoffs. We have our official World Series. I mean, college football. I mean, we're nearing the back half of the college, which is crazy, by the way. I cannot believe we're in the back half of the college football schedule. The NFL.
We're already a third of the way through fantasy already. Over a third of the way through the fantasy season.
Bailey Zappi is currently taking over Mac Jones's job as we're talking right now.
It's Monday night, and if you also watched the first half of the Monday night game, you saw a man lose his job on live television. Like this man lose his job. Yeah. So that was tough to watch.
As an Alabama alum, how did that feel seeing your boy Mac go down?
I'm just gonna blame him on that he's still hurt, and when he's fully healthy, he'll take the job back. That's what we're gonna go with for now.
That's what I guess everyone's gonna hope for. But I guess we can lead it off. Speaking of the NFL, we can lead it off with the NFL. Let's see. In this past week, we had a few surprises. So after, and we'll get to these specific headlines. After the Panthers traded away Christian McCaffrey, they defeat the Bucks 21-3 in a dominant showing over Tom Brady.
Lit them up too. It was never really close, which is weird to say about a 21-3 game. But you never felt like the Bucks were gonna turn it around.
Which is Tom Brady came out of retirement for what?
Yeah, so I have three possibilities to explain this score. Right? There's three ways to explain this. First being that CMC was the problem.
Yeah.
The second being that Matt Rule was the problem.
Yeah.
And the third one being that Todd Bowles is still a really bad NFL coach. And out of the three, I feel like it's probably number 2 with a little bit of number 3 sprinkled in.
It could be all of them. I mean, it could be every single one of them. It could have been.
I feel like watching the game, it does you think about do they open up the playbook now that you don't have McCaffrey to lean on?
Yeah.
Do you have to get some more plays going because you don't have that stud to just dump the ball off to like your crutch that's always right there? So, that might have been part of it as well.
DJ Moore had a pretty decent game, didn't he? I mean, finally, getting utilized in some capacity. Yes, he should be.
Yeah, and I don't think PJ Walker, is the starting quarterback moving forward, but
he
played a nice game.
That's a good game.
He played a nice game.
He played his role well. Some of the other outcomes around the league: the Cowboys with a good win over the Lions, 24-6. Zeke finally fantasy relevant. Finally, he had 17, 18 points. Thank God.
But the funny thing is, so is Pollard too. It feels like they're both fantasy relevant right now. You can start either, and you probably wouldn't be too upset.
Yep. Then we got the Bengals with the 35-17 dub over the Falcons. Not much of a surprise there. Joe Burrow had a really good game.
Y'all want to talk about Dak's comeback at all? No thoughts on your end from seeing Dak back on the field?
I'm going to be 100% honest. I didn't watch the game, I missed the game. I can't remember why I did, but I missed that game. But did you watch it? How much did you catch?
We had Red Zone on, so I saw a good amount of it.
Yeah.
I guess there wasn't a lot of scoring in it, especially in the first half, because it was 6-3 for a while, and then the Cowboys finally got some turnovers going. It seemed like the fact there wasn't much scoring, the Dak was probably a little rusty.
Yeah,
but I'm sure he will turn it around, and having the running game going is only going to help him. Having Zeke and Pollard playing the way they are is only going to help him get back to full speed.
I mean, he had 19. He was 19 for 25, 207 yards, a touchdown. That's completely fine in your first comeback game. I mean, that you're getting back in the swing of things. And as much as Cooper Rush struggled in that last game, let's give the man some props for being a backup quarterback, taking that Cowboys team to a 4-1 record. We got to give all the props in the world to Mr. Cooper Rush.
Yeah. Steadying the ship for sure.
Of course. And then more teams on the decline. The Indianapolis Colts lose to the Tennessee Titans, who are 4-2, which I don't know how that's happened because Ryan Tannehill is a bum. So
on the back of Derrick Henry. I mean,
literally. Yeah.
I think their defense is solid, and it's been solid for the last couple of years. But on the back of Derrick Henry, also Matty Ice benched. For the rest of the season, supposedly, news broke today that Sam Ehlinger will be taking over for the rest of the season.
That is correct.
Feels like, I don't know, how many games they have left? Like 11 games? So an 11-game tryout for Sam Ehlinger to see if he has any potential. Yeah. I mean, I guess hopefully that he's been practicing there for however many years. But see what he's got. And if it goes badly, then you have a better chance to draft a quarterback. So...
Yeah, the whole joke of Derrick Henry getting 30 carries a game is not a joke. He actually has 30 carries a game. He had 30 carries a game. He had 30 carries last game.
So would normally worry about your running back being hurt, but this man is literally a cyborg, so it doesn't matter.
I mean, he got hurt once last year, but it hasn't slowed him down at all. I mean, I've said before. I mean, ACLs and the knee stuff aren't nearly as much of a death sentence as they used to be. I mean, you saw KD come back from the Achilles. You saw Clay. I know it's different sports, but you saw Klay Thompson come back from an ACL and an Achilles, and you're seeing the same thing in the NFL too. I mean, medicine's just improved so much, and athletes are just taking care of their body at such a higher level.
Although I will say, I think in the NFL, we think of Adrian Peterson as that guy that came back from the ACL and still was solid. And for a lot of running backs, you never get back to that same level. Like look at J.K. Dobbins this year, who, is now out for 4 more 6 weeks because they need to do a knee scope on the knee that he just got surgically repaired this past offseason. So I think it's a little bit harder for running backs, but also I think when you're built like Derrick Henry, I don't think injuries
built different, right?
apply to you the same, just like they don't apply to Adrian Peterson.
Yeah.
So.
Very true. And then more teams on the decline. The Commanders beat the Packers. Packers are, it's not looking good in Green Bay.
Ryan and I were actually talking about this. Have we ever seen a Sunday where Tom Brady and Aaron Rodgers teams looked that bad on the same day?
Dude, it's terrible. It's really bad. I mean, granted, they're old, but
But you can't even say their teams, they just didn't look good.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, I know we've talked about before that offenses are on the decline across the NFL this year, and I really think it is. You're seeing a lot of these, last generation of quarterbacks finally start to hit a little bit of a decline. You see Rodgers and Brady and Wilson, and it's you're seeing a lot of those guys finally come down, while the younger guys are still getting better, but are starting to get to the beginning of their prime as well, and they're not going to really keep pushing it that much further.
Yep. Continuing on, in a game that was good, that if you told me it would have been good last year, I would have laughed in your face. The Giants beating the Jaguars 23-17. The Giants improved to a 6-1 record. Jeez, what is happening?
I saw a tweet today too, and we'll talk about them here in a second. But it was the Seattle Seahawks, the NFC West leading Seattle Seahawks, host the 6-1 New York Giants next week to take control of the NFC playoff picture.
It's ridiculous. It doesn't. It's insane.
Would it require a total implosion of the Giants for Dabble to not win Coach of the Year right now? I guess, or do you have to worry about Sirianni too? I mean, who's your Coach of the Year pick right now?
Oh, that's a good. Well, I mean, I don't know, because the Giants, obviously, that is kind of a coaching situation, but it's also, I mean, Daniel Jones has played really well this year, and so it's a big step up from the quarterback. You got Saquon Barkley. Everyone knew what Saquon is capable of. It was just seeing him healthy again. But I mean, with this receiving core and the fact that Daniel Jones is able to make this offense as efficient as it is, I mean, that's a testament. And like I said, I don't know if that's a testament to coaching. I mean, it seems like you think that he might be the favorite, the Giants coach.
Yeah, I would put him over Sirianni. I think the Eagles were solid last year, not spectacular, but solid. But the Giants were bad. I mean, I think in terms of the turnaround, I think Dabble has to be your front runner at the moment.
I would agree with that. Next we got it's interdivisional. The Ravens and the Browns, they're in the same division. That's correct. Yeah, the Ravens and the Browns. So the Ravens beat the Browns 23-20. the Browns also in a little bit of a weird spot, not necessarily because they're lacking anything other than obviously quarterback right now, Deshaun Watson. And I mean, it's getting close with his comeback. I mean,
Yeah.
he's only got 4 or 5 weeks left on his suspension, and we'll see that offense in full force when he gets back. But I guess we'll see.
Yep.
Further continuing on the New York teams, the New York Jets improving to 5-2 over the Denver Broncos with a weird 16-9 score.
Against Brett Rypien and the Denver Broncos.
Oh my lord!
Do you remember that kid that at the beginning of the year was interviewing Sauce Gardner at the Jets training camp, and he's like,
Yes.
Sauce, my
I
dad
know what
takes
you're
me
talking
for ice cream.
Yeah.
And everyone kind of clowned Sauce for saying oh yeah, you're gonna get a lot of ice cream this year.
Yeah.
They're 5-2.
They're literally 5-2. Oh man.
And in the driver's seat for a wild card berth, because I don't think you're winning the division over the Bills, but I mean, in a good spot to get a wild card berth right now.
I mean, and that's another case. So we got to praise the backup quarterback. I mean, obviously Zach Wilson's in now, but Joe Flacco was balling whenever he had to play for the Jets. I mean,
it all started that game where they came back against Cleveland and just pulled off that insane win. That's when it started.
Just put Flacco in. Why is Zach Wilson in the game? Put Joe Flacco in the game.
They looked better with Flacco.
That's what I know. It was hilarious. It was a graphic where it was the 5 leading passing yards quarterbacks or whatever after week 5, and Joe Flacco was the 5th one. I was like, good lord.
Yeah, what is this, 2013? We do also have to mention Breece Hall, who is probably your current favorite for Offensive Rookie of the Year, did suffer a torn ACL along with some light meniscus damage. Is expected to be out for the year, and now the New York Jets have traded for James Robinson to replace him. So
you're ruining.
If you have a waiver claim in, oh, sorry, I'm mentioning them as we get to the game.
No, you're fine.
But so if you have a waiver claim in for Michael Carter, I'd probably go and cancel that again. Just leave that man on waivers.
You don't need him. Don't need him.
Big news out of the New York Jets, which I think will probably keep the Jets from making the playoffs because that entire offense was running through Breece Hall.
Yeah, he was incredible, and I'll hold my hands up and be like, I thought Breece Hall was good. I didn't think he was going to be this good. He's been on another level so far, like you said, Offensive Rookie of the Year probably. Yeah. Next we have the Raiders with the dub over the Texans. Not much of a surprise there, but the Raiders only had a 2-4 record. I mean, you would think they would be a little better with the addition of Devontae Adams.
Josh Jacobs is that dude, though. Josh Jacobs is insane right now.
Yeah, he's nuclear.
I guess contract year Josh Jacobs is just different because he is
crazy.
playing out of his mind.
He is. Yeah, 20 carries, 143 yards, 3 touchdowns. What else can you ask for? And then, as Robbie said, another upset alert. The Seahawks over the Los Angeles Chargers, 37-23. As we keep reiterating, Geno Smith keeps forgetting to write back with another
every damn week you forget
every week. I mean, Keenan Allen was in this week, I think, in a limited capacity. Unfortunately, Mike Williams, their other number 1 receiver, left the game with an injury. So I mean, the Chargers are just getting beat up on the offensive side right now. So
no, it seems like their entire offense ends up just being Herbert checking down to Eckler. I think Eckler had double-digit targets in this game.
Yep. And which I don't know, Khalil Mack being on the Chargers and their run defense is still atrocious. It doesn't make any sense. You have Bosa and Joey Bosa. He's hurt right now, isn't he? Or am I thinking?
I feel like both of the Bosas are always hurt. So you have a pretty good chance of one of them being hurt.
Yeah, but him and Khalil Mack, and still his run defense is terrible. So I mean, the Chargers.
I do feel like good pass rushers can hurt your run defense because if they get too far upfield, it hurts. And I think Bosa is pretty good at that, but I'm not sure Khalil Mack is as good.
Yeah, I got you. The Chiefs with a 44-23 win over the 49ers. The Chiefs it doesn't matter. They lost Tyreek Hill. Travis Kelce it's insane. I mean, he's a receiver who's just huge. It's not even fair. And then the Dolphins with the returning Tua get the 16-10 win over the Pittsburgh Steelers, improving to 4-3 on the year. Jalen Waddle and Tyreek Hill, one of the most dangerous duos currently in the NFL. Both having some over 70 yards game, over 70-yard game. So there's that.
Yeah.
Those are the NFL results. Obviously, like we said, the Bears and Patriots game, which nobody would really expect to be good. But that, like I said, Bailey Zappe's taking Mac Jones' job. Justin Fields is playing the best I've seen him play all year. He's throwing some darts tonight.
He's figuring it out. I mean, it really seems like ever since he got clowned really on Thursday Night Football, he's starting to like figure it out a little bit.
Yeah. Oh, and speaking of Thursday night game, excuse me, I did miss that. The Cardinals beat the Saints 42-34 in that game.
I've never laughed so hard watching those back-to-back pick sixes. Like I've never laughed that hard watching a football game.
Dude, my friend was watching it. He's like, didn't I just see this? He thought it was like a rerun. He was like, what is going on?
It's just so funny. I kind of thought to myself, like, it'd be really funny if they threw another one and they went down 28-14. Like they have enough time to do that. That'd be interesting. And then it happened.
Hey, that did happen. D-Hop with a hell of a return. How many receptions did he have? He had
10, I think.
He had 10 catches for 103 yards in his return game. Wow. I mean, a testament to him and a testament to how much the Cardinals missed him. I mean, D-Hop is back. So if you didn't have him in your fantasy lineup, put him back in your fantasy lineup.
You held him for a good reason.
Yeah,
now he's back.
Now he is back. And so those are the game results from the past week. Any surprises there, Robbie? I mean, obviously the Giants and the Jets being at the top is a little bit of a surprise. Is there any team that's doing a lot worse than you expected?
I think the Buccaneers are the team that you look at, like, what in the world happened? I mean, I think they're a couple of plays away from being worse than their record of 3-4 too.
Yeah.
I mean, they've had a couple of tight wins as well. I mean, that Falcons game, for example, pretty questionable call on Brady to get that roughing the passer.
Yep.
I think that's your biggest disappointment right now for sure. I would have to think.
I would have to agree with that. And as we move on past the standings, I have a few headlines for you, Robbie, and I need you to listen to some of these. These next three involve Dan Snyder, who I know is your favorite commissioner, owner in the entire NFL.
Yeah, absolutely.
I was sad that you weren't here last week because there was stuff that Ryan and I talked about regarding Dan Snyder that all right, so Dan Snyder sent this letter out to the other owners of the NFL after some reports by ESPN came out about the whole thing that we talked about last week with him saying that he had dirt on Roger Goodell and stuff like that. So here's the letter. I'm going to read this word for word verbatim. Dear I guess redacted, I hope that you and your family are doing well. I would like to address a recent ESPN article that contains false and malicious statements about the Washington Commanders, our management team, and me and my family. It is particularly shameful for ESPN to diminish the very real accomplishments of our president, Jason Wright, who ESPN alleges was placed at the Commanders by the league and has no power to make real change. I know you know this to be false. Unfortunately, ESPN ignored our efforts to correct the many falsehoods in their article before its publication. There is one allegation in the ESPN article that I felt it is important to address immediately. The article cited unnamed sources who said, quote, they've been told that Snyder instructed his law firms to hire private investigators to look into other owners and Commissioner Goodell. That is patently false and intended to erode the trust and goodwill between owners that I take quite seriously. I have never hired any private investigator to look into any owner or the commissioner. I've never instructed or authorized my lawyers to hire any private investigator on my behalf for any such purpose, and I never would. While we are all fierce competitors on the field, we are part of this organization because we love football, our teams, and our fans. Having the privilege to own a franchise in America's sport is something I know none of us take for granted. Falsehoods and lies being spread about any of our organizations both hurt our league, our players, and our fans, and we simply cannot let them go unchallenged. Thank you for taking the time to read this. If you have any questions, Tanya and I are always available to answer them, and we look forward to discussing these issues with you at the appropriate time. Sincerely, Dan Snyder. What are your first impressions of that letter, Robbie?
I like that he says, this hurts the league and the fans and the players. It's like, no. Like, these reports literally only hurt you.
Yeah,
and like the fact that they're coming out, I mean, at a time like this, like no one's gonna believe Dan Snyder.
Yeah.
And especially with we're gonna talk about here in a minute, but Jim Irsay, who I would say is in probably the top 5 of most influential owners in the NFL.
Mm-hmm.
Wouldn't you put Jim Irsay up there?
Yeah,
like he's got to be towards the top.
Yeah.
Is clearly not happy with him. I mean, all it takes is Jerry Jones coming out against him publicly. I mean, God only knows what's being said behind the scenes, but if Jerry ever came out and said something publicly, he's done.
Yeah.
So I think it's coming, and I think he's posturing to try to delay it any longer that he can.
Yeah.
But I think it's coming.
Yeah. And yeah, as Robbie said, there was mention, apparently Colts owner Jim Irsay says, quote, "I believe there is merit to removing Dan Snyder as owner," end quote, in light of the recent investigations. So yeah, and this isn't looking good. And then the next headline I have, another Dan Snyder one. An attorney for 4 dozen former Commanders employees has concerns that the NFL violated its promise of confidentiality, leading to Dan Snyder learning the names of those who testified against him. It's just like Robbie said, it just keeps getting worse. It's just thing after thing after thing.
But also knowing Goodell's NFL, would you be at all surprised if they accidentally leaked the personnel's names to where Dan Snyder could see it?
No,
that would not surprise me at all.
No, it's Roger Goodell. I mean, he's. I mean, other than who's the MLB commissioner? I always forget his name.
Manfred.
I mean, those two are Beavis and Butthead. Like nothing they do surprises me at this point. It's just kind of ridiculous.
At least Goodell isn't actively trying to kill the game, unlike Manfred. But I mean, in terms of handling off the field things, Goodell is just as bad.
Yeah. Oh yeah. 100%. And then moving on to other owners of the NFL and the aforementioned Jerry Jones. Apparently, Cowboys Jerry Jones, the owner of the Cowboys Jerry Jones, engaged in a heated exchange with Patriots owner Robert Kraft in an NFL owners only meeting to decide whether to open contract negotiations with Commissioner Roger Goodell. So like you said, Jerry Jones and Robert Kraft being one of obviously the other big names. Yep. Throwing their weight around and getting into it a little bit. Apparently over negotiations with Goodell. So
yeah, because Jerry was the only one to vote against entering negotiations, right? It was like a 31-1 vote, and I think Jerry was the one that said we shouldn't. Even though the last time Goodell got a big contract extension, Jerry was the one pushing for him to get it. So what changed?
I hate Jerry Jones. I hate Jerry Jones.
So I'm just curious what happened between now and then that he no longer wants Roger Goodell around.
Yeah, unfortunately, I do not have that information, but I guess it's just speculation in the meantime. Before officially figuring it out, and some more lighthearted normal headlines past all the owner stuff, because obviously I know a lot of the casual fans don't really keep up with the owners and stuff and the ongoing investigations. But Deshaun Jackson signing with the Baltimore Ravens. I think he's 35 at this point. Per Adam, this is per Adam Schefter. I mean, I think that's just a solid pickup to a Ravens receiving core that has improved with Rashad Bateman and Devin Duvernay. But I could always use that veteran presence in the locker room,
and has been pretty banged up. Probably needed some depth as well.
Mm-hmm.
Just another depth piece for them.
100%. Continuing on in the NFL and Amazon cycle, the NFL and Amazon announced Prime Video will stream a Black Friday game the day after Thanksgiving in 2023. It will be the first Black Friday game ever. What do you think of this, Robbie? It's kind of interesting.
Husbands around the United States just rejoiced. You have an excuse to not go Black Friday shopping because you have to stay home and watch the Black Friday
watch football. You gotta watch it now.
And that's about the time that they start doing Saturday games, right? So theoretically, you could have NFL Thursday on Thanksgiving,
Friday, Saturday,
Black Friday, Saturday, Sunday. That's elite. And that is all I want as a football fan.
Oh man.
We always complain about the Thursday night games and how terrible they've been. But I'm still watching every single one.
You still watch it. Yeah.
I still tune in every single week.
Every time.
Exactly.
Expecting
more
different.
Football, the better. That's what I say.
Yeah. I mean, this is great for us, but I'm sure wives and girlfriends around the country are not thrilled by these developments. I guess we'll see. Continuing on, obviously, like I mentioned earlier, the trade deadline for the NFL is November 1st, so it's quickly approaching, a week away from today. Sources, apparently Jets wide receiver Elijah Moore, who is frustrated with his role and usage, has asked for a trade, but currently the team has no plans to trade him at all. And so there's another one example of actually a number of young guys who are wanting out of some of these teams. You look like you have something to say, bro.
I get Elijah Moore's frustration, but also when Zach Wilson's throwing the ball 18 times a game, I don't really know what you expect your role to be.
Yeah, when Breece Hall is carrying the team. Yeah.
Right. And it'd be one thing if they're slinging it, 30 to 40 times a game and you're not seeing any targets. Yeah. But one game where you don't see any targets and 18 throws,
mm-hmm.
I don't know.
Relax.
It feels reaction. Yeah, chill out. It's your second year. You don't have the box to stand on to say I want out of here because you're only in the league for 2 years. You just don't have that. But
yeah,
whatever.
Continuing on, sources tell ESPN. We kind of mentioned this earlier. Sources tell ESPN. Panthers traded Pro Bowl running back Christian McCaffrey to the San Francisco 49ers in exchange for draft picks. McCaffrey returned to the Bay Area where he attended Stanford, and I believe the details of that trade were the Panthers were compensated with a second-round pick, a third-round pick, a fourth-round pick, and a fifth-round pick. Being the resident Panthers fan of the podcast, Robbie, what do you feel about this move? Obviously, Christian McCaffrey, one of the best running backs in the league when healthy. Do you feel like this was good compensation? And was this a good move for the Panthers?
I think it was. You're gonna lose a lot of games with or without Christian McCaffrey this year. And I think it's worthwhile to stock up on these picks. The Panthers now have 7 picks in the first 5 rounds of next year's NFL draft. If you're a team that really is gonna say we're rebuilding, that's the type of draft capital that you need to have. Did you see the report on what the Rams offered?
Yeah, that's the next one. That's my next headline.
Okay. So I'll come back to that. So yeah. I think it was a good move for the Panthers. Also, I figure we were getting to this. I didn't bring it up during the Niners-Chiefs game. Niners obviously didn't play great, but like the sparks you saw with McCaffrey,
he looked really good.
He was in the game.
He looked really good.
Give him a couple more weeks to get comfortable in Shanahan's offense, and then you have a Debo and a McCaffrey and all those other weapons. That offense is going to be scary, gross. Even with Jimmy G. Even with Jimmy G at quarterback, it's going to be kind of great.
It's kind of disgusting. I mean, yeah, you got Kittle and Ayuk too. I mean, yeah, that offense is gross. So yeah, I think this is the same headline we're talking about. But what I saw was that the Panthers also turned down 2 first-round picks for defensive end Brian Burns. What do you think of that move by the Panthers? 2 first-rounders in the NFL. That's crazy.
I think it had to have come from like a team where you're assuming that those picks are going to be late.
Yeah.
To like where you're saying there, like, is Brian Burns worth 2 almost second-round picks? Like, probably not. Now, if you're talking about a top 10 pick and a 25th pick, then maybe.
Yeah.
No, I was talking about. So the Rams also made an offer for Christian McCaffrey.
Oh, okay.
Very similar to the Niners offer, however, rather than a 4th-round pick, they offered Cam Akers.
Interesting. Okay.
And the Panthers said, I would rather have the 4th-round pick.
It's kind of disrespectful.
It's really disrespectful. It's absurdly disrespectful, actually. But yeah, so that was the other trade offer out there.
I didn't even know that. That's crazy.
That came out like later tonight, and they were talking about.
That's hilarious.
Yeah.
No. You keep him.
No, please. Do I have to take Cam Akers? Like, can you just keep him? I'll take a 7th-round pick. Honestly, if you just don't make me take him, like I don't care. I really don't want him. I would rather you just literally send me a player named Cash Considerations than actually send me a player named Cam Akers.
Send me a bag of chips, please.
Yeah,
please. That's funny.
Send me like one of the like TikTokers to dance at our halftime show for 1 game, and we'll call it even. Versus sending me Cam Akers, like just anything else.
Yeah. Moving down the free agency, or not free agency, excuse me, the trade deadline list. Apparently, the Dolphins are expected to trade tight end Mike Gesicki by the NFL trade deadline. There hasn't been an offer in place yet or anything, but like I said, they're expected to trade him. I don't know why. I mean, obviously you have Tyreek Hill and Jalen Waddle who are doing great things, but I mean that's just another weapon. Is his contract expiring? Is that what the thought process is?
Have you seen that man do the gritty?
Unseasoned gritty.
It's the unseasoned gritty that's making this. No,
I was like, didn't Jamar tell him to stop? He was like, don't stop. Stop doing that.
And he did it the first time, and then he did it the second time, and it was a little bit better. Yeah. And then he like said, he's like, all right, I'm done. I won't do it gritty anymore. I can't do it anymore.
Yeah.
I don't even know like who the Dolphins' backup tight end is. Like, is someone that's maybe better at blocking? I don't think Gesicki's much of a like blocker, so you're looking for someone that can keep Tua upright a little bit better?
But I mean, he's a great he's like a wide receiver, just like with a tight end's build, which is, I mean, he's a really good tight end. I mean, obviously he's just not getting as many targets because you have a Tyreek Hill and you have a Jalen Waddle, but it's like, I don't know, it seems like a weird move.
I'll tell you what, every time I've started that man in fantasy, I don't think he's ever scored
goose
more
egg.
than 5 points.
Goose egg.
goose egg Gesicki every time.
Accurate, but I mean, just as a weapon, I mean, it's a little confusing. Like I said, maybe it's a contract thing. Maybe they think he's going to leave anyway, so they're like, oh, we might as well get something out of him. So it's probably something like that. So I guess we will see as that develops. Another kind of a somber note. Todd Gurley has officially retired from the NFL. A man with an extremely solid college career. A man with some solid years in there. He was multiple time Pro Bowler. So solid. Was it a 6-year career? It wasn't very long, obviously. I mean, nowadays careers getting shorter and shorter because people don't want to get brain injuries, get permanent injuries. And I'm a big advocate for that. I mean, when it's time, it's time. I completely get that. But Todd obviously struggled a little bit last year, but had some really good years with the Rams.
Probably one of the best players in fantasy football for like 1 or 2 years with the Rams when he was like really getting used. Like really, really 100%. Solid player. And yeah, I agree with you. When your body's telling you to hang it up, I think luckily these days it's much more normal to hang it up.
Yes,
which is a good thing.
Which kind of a precedent that was set with Andrew Luck. That fortunately has kind of been a trend, which is a good thing. Don't worry, it's not like, oh, why are you retiring so early? But yeah, all the props in the world to him. I hope he enjoys retirement. I hope he's happy and healthy. So great job to Todd Gurley on his career. As Robbie said earlier, unfortunately, Breece Hall has officially torn his ACL with some meniscus damage. I mean, we wish him the speediest of recoveries. Obviously, he was having an incredible season with the Jets. I mean, anybody could see that. So all the best in the world to him. We hope he gets better. And another one that Robbie kind of mentioned, the Colts head coach Frank, is it Reich? Is that how you say his last name? I think it's Reich.
Reich.
Yeah, yep. Frank Reich on his team's quarterback change. He said, right now the move is for Sam Ehlinger to be the starter for the rest of the season, end quote. And currently Matt Ryan did sustain an injury, but apparently the start change has nothing to do with the injury. They are literally just.
I like that they specifically said that.
Nothing to do with the injury.
Nothing to do with the injury. Yeah.
We just want him to start. So Sam Ehlinger will now be the official starter for the Indianapolis Colts at the quarterback position.
I saw a headline today that's like NFL scouts say that like Matt Ryan is struggling to make the throws he used to. It's like, I mean, I'm not an NFL scout, and I can tell you that.
I could have written that down.
Yeah, I mean, I guess I deserve an NFL scouting job if I can.
Please.
But yeah, he's having trouble pushing the ball around the field. It's like, well, he's like 37? Like, of course he is. But, yeah, I think worthwhile change for the Colts. I mean, it's weird to say that because they're in the division hunt, but I think at the end of the day, even if you win your division, that you're a first round exit waiting to happen. So why not? See what the young guy's got. And if it doesn't pan out, then you drafted another one.
100%. My next thing I got, so apparently the Chargers cornerback J.C. Jackson sustained a knee injury this past Sunday, which unfortunately is in fact a season-ending injury per head coach Brandon Staley. He ruptured his patella tendon, so he is done for the season. Another guy that was, J.C. Jackson, one of the elite corners in the league, so, wishing all the best for him, hoping he gets the best medical care. Hope he recovers well. And as Robbie stated earlier, the Jets are trading a 6th-round pick that could become a 5th-round pick depending on his stats to Jacksonville for running back James Robinson. So James Robinson might be fantasy relevant again. So keep your eye on him. I mean, with Breece Hall being out and with him going, he's going to be I would assume he's going to be the starter.
I would assume so. Yeah, I really need to read your outlines more thoroughly so I don't steal all of your thunder here coming down the stretch. I apologize.
No, you're fine. I was just reiterating. So yeah, I mean, that's all I have for the NFL. Like Robbie and I said, the Monday night game is currently happening. So when I think we might be done before that ends. But if that does end, we will update you on what happens.
The Memphis Grizzlies just beat the Brooklyn Nets by 10. Ja Morant went for 38 points, as did Desmond Bane.
Okay.
So
there it is.
The Grizz are looking nice. And Kyrie and KD also went for 37 apiece. So
there it is.
Really quite the shootout there between those two teams. But our beloved Grizzlies pulled it out. So that's what matters.
We are Grizzlies pod.
Yeah, for sure.
Other than the Mavs, but the Mavs on top, but the Grizzlies can be right next to them if So moving on to the next topic. So we got some college football to talk about, Robbie. I know you love some college football. You didn't get to talk about it last week. Let's start with your alma mater. Obviously, Alabama with a dominant victory, 30-6 over Mississippi State. I don't think anyone was surprised by this outcome, especially coming off the loss from Tennessee. What did you think of this game?
Yeah, it looked much better all around, much more, the disciplined Alabama team that you expected to see. I think the bye week is coming at a good time. You got everything moving in the right direction with this game, getting ready for 2 really tough games back-to-back at LSU and at Ole Miss. Now, the Bayou Bengals are looking tough. Ole Miss has obviously looked very good this year. They did lose to LSU this weekend, but still, going in there to play Lane Kiffin is never going to be easy.
Mm-hmm.
So bye week coming at a good time. I think, learn from our mistakes in Knoxville, hopefully.
Yeah. And speaking of LSU and Ole Miss, LSU, and this was a line that Ryan read out. Ryan pointed specifically to this game last week as saying Vegas knows something we don't. LSU was a 3-point favorite at home against number 7 Ole Miss, and wouldn't you know it, LSU embarrasses Ole Miss 45-20. Ole Miss, get out of the top 10, Ole Miss, because you don't deserve to be there after that loss. I mean, I was shocked. I mean, what was your reaction when you saw this score?
Oh yeah. Also shocked, and Ole Miss jumped out on them early. They were up, and you're like, all right, here we go. Like they're gonna, run away with it, and it's gonna be what we expected. But
yeah,
props to Brian Kelly and LSU. I think he's getting them moving in the direction that he wants them to go, and they're starting to buy in. And I think he'll have LSU back up and running in no time. Unfortunately,
yeah. Unfortunately, coming from the Alabama grad. So yeah, that's that, and then we have a Big 12 matchup. Currently remaining undefeated, TCU beats Kansas State 38-28. Kansas State was up 28-10. I mean, like it was at halftime. They were up 28-10. They had a weird situation where their quarterback, I didn't see the beginning of it, but basically their starting quarterback's name is Martinez, and it said that he had like 2 throws in the box score. So, but it said he didn't start, and so they had a backup in. It was a very weird situation. So they had,
I thought like they mentioned he got hurt because I watched like the end of the fourth quarter and he wasn't in, and like I thought they said he got hurt, but then
he was on there. It was weird because he was on the injury report before the game started. But I think from on the box score, he threw 2 balls. So I don't know if they but he wasn't the starter, but he didn't start the game. So I don't know what Kansas State was doing.
Maybe they were using him as like a decoy type of guy. And
I don't know.
He ended up throwing a couple.
I don't know what he was doing. I don't know what Kansas State was doing. I didn't see the beginning of the game. But yeah, Will Howard was the backup. He was carving up TCU's defense in the first half. It was actually very impressive. And then he got hurt for a second, and then the third string had to come in, and then he finally came back in. In the second half, I mean, I don't know if I've ever seen a second half team like TCU. I mean, honest to God, it's like they flip a switch. It's a strange. Those
halftime adjustments are no joke.
Yeah, TCU. I mean, TCU took the Jim Knowles effect from us. What we had last year. I mean, they took the second half from us. So yeah, TCU remains one of the only undefeated teams and the only undefeated team in the Big 12 with that victory. And let's talk about my alma mater, Oklahoma State homecoming game against the University of Texas. A 41-34 win, a comeback win after being down by 14. Yes, SEC, huh?
SEC who?
SEC who? It's just a good win. I mean, I really don't have too much to say about this. Sanders looked a lot better. I still don't know if he was 100% healthy last week, but he didn't look like he was unhealthy this week. We had some phenomenal catches. He had some balls that he threaded. Our defense really stepped up in moments. And in all honesty, I mean, I went to high school with him. Quinn Ewers had a terrible game. Like this was an atrocious
come down from the
game.
Red River shootout to this game was absurd.
Terrible.
Like watching him, he looked like a different guy, and it's weird because like I remember going into the Alabama game, like he looked all right, but he hadn't been a world beater. And then when he was healthy in that game, looked fantastic.
Yeah,
and you see the same thing against Oklahoma that he comes out on fire first game back from injury and looks great.
Yeah.
So can Quinn Ewers play in those games that it's harder to get up for? Because obviously the 2 games, if you're Texas, that you circle on the schedule this year at least, are going to be Alabama and Oklahoma.
Yep.
So can you make those big plays in the games where you don't have that same energy level? And that, I mean, right now it looks like no. But, I mean, he's a young guy. Obviously, he'll figure it out. But
I mean, and I never really acknowledged it when I was younger, but obviously being here now and being in the band and obviously being at all the home games, I didn't realize it before. Boone Pickens is hard to play at, and as an away team, that place is booming. That place is loud. When the crowd gets into it, it is almost impossible to hear. And this was his first big away game. I mean, so it's like I guess the lights got a little too bright. Because he couldn't hear or whatever it was. It's
I'd say watching you guys. I mean, obviously you've had your fair share of difficulties with Oklahoma and Bedlam, but
thanks,
any year that game was. You're welcome. But anytime that game was in Boone Pickens and it was like a night game, it always felt a little scary.
It was a little
it always felt like there's some potential for something weird to happen.
Of course. Well, and I don't know if people know this. We own Texas. Like recently, as of late, we're like 10-3 against Texas. We own Texas recently. So yeah, Oklahoma State with a great win. I mean, and you said the thing about Quinn looking really good against Alabama, and I guess that's why that surprised me even more that he had such a bad game. Is because I know y'all have kind of like a bad secondary by Alabama standards this year. I mean, our defense is fine. So it's just kind of surprising that, you know. So I feel like a lot of it was just the noise, and a lot of it was the crowd, a lot of it was kind of the moment that maybe got to him. And because he threw 49, he was 19 for 49. That's not a good completion percentage. He threw 2 picks, one on the first drive, one on the last drive. Yeah, he just struggled.
He looked bad.
Bijan Robinson, I still think is the best running back in college football. He was ridiculous. He was just, you tackle the dude and he falls for 10 yards.
Yeah.
I don't know what you're supposed to do against that.
No, cross over to NBA here, but obviously we know about the tank for if we ever get his last name right.
Victor
Wembanyama.
Wembanyama.
Y'all know who we're talking about. In the NBA, there's something similar going on in Dynasty Fantasy Football right now.
Mm-hmm.
If you just read through any message board of anything, even in our group chat, everyone is saying, how do I tank for Bijan? Like, if you want to draft someone in a Dynasty Fantasy Football draft, Bijan Robinson is that guy.
Robinson. I've said it to so many people. He is the most pro-level or pro-ready running back that I've seen in forever. Probably my whole like viewing existence of like being really into sports. I think he's the most pro-ready running back I've ever seen.
And at Fantasy, you always talk about, you know, the setup and like what team they get on. Like, the only players I wouldn't start him over in the NFL right now are like your top tier running backs.
Literally,
like your Jonathan Taylors and your Derrick Henrys. Like, most of those mid-level running back guys, I would start him over them.
Oh, 100%. 100%. I think he's going to be incredible. So we can move on from great wins for Pokes. Go Pokes. Hopefully we can win out. Hopefully we win out. Hopefully TCU wins out. We rematch them in the Big 12 Championship and we beat them. So that's what I'm hoping for. That's the ideal situation.
I'm hoping for the same thing against Tennessee. I hope Tennessee beats Georgia and we get another shot at Tennessee in the SEC Championship.
I mean, speaking of Tennessee with a 65-24 win over UT Martin. So next week, game day is going to Jackson State, that's a cool little side trip over there. But the next week, I think everybody and their mother knows who it's going to be. Tennessee and Georgia play each other in
Athens, Georgia.
What a freaking game! The coverage for that game is going to be insane. I mean, the outcome is going to have like drastic ramifications.
I think they're saying this is only like the third top 5 team that they've hosted in Athens since like 2000, because obviously they play Florida and Jacksonville every year.
Yeah.
And that's usually the best team in the SEC East as of late outside of Georgia.
Mm-hmm.
So you're looking at only the third top 3 matchup in Athens since 2000. I mean, I'm only an hour away. I should go. I don't know. That would be dangerous, but I should go.
Yeah. So we'll see what happens there.
About game day, though, you had to know they were going to go to Jackson State before Dion leaves, because I think we know that Dion is probably going to accept a Power 5 job at some point.
Yes, 100%.
But you knew they had to get there one time before he left. Yep. So I'm glad they're going to make it down there for that game. That'll be cool.
As am I. Ohio State dominates Iowa 54-10. Iowa is we've bragged enough on Iowa. Iowa sucks. So everyone
they were winning. Okay, it's saying something nice about Iowa podcast. They were winning this game 7-3. So go Hawkeyes.
They scored a touchdown. Touchdown.
It wasn't the offense.
Oh no, it was a pick six. Yeah, it was a pick six.
But they scored a touchdown before Ohio State did. So good job, Iowa.
Good job, Iowa. Wow. Remember when they were like a couple years ago, they were like top 8s? They were like 8 or 5 or something.
Remember? It was like 2 or 3 years ago that it was like
that long ago.
Penn State had like a top 5 matchup. It was like 2 versus 5 in Iowa City. Like not that long ago.
Oh my god. I cannot believe that. That's crazy. I don't know if I've ever seen a team fall off like that.
I don't know if I've ever seen like we joke about it every time, but they have to be the worst Power 5 offense ever. Ever.
I've heard I've seen TikToks about people legitimately thinking that quarterback is the worst quarterback they've ever, actually the worst D1 quarterback they've ever seen.
I'm not convinced I couldn't go out there and play better than him. Like, I'm really not convinced of that. Ryan sent me a Reddit poster. I'm glad that we're still getting Ryan in the podcast.
Yeah, of course.
He's here. But he sent me a Reddit post earlier that Iowa's playing Northwestern this weekend.
Oh God.
And the over-under opened at 31.5.
Oh,
which would be
my Lord.
the lowest total points over-under in any Power 5 game ever. The next closest was, I think it was like Oregon State and like Stanford back when Stanford was really bad. And that one was like 33. So they've got a 2-point cushion on having the lowest over-under ever.
Can we start a petition to relegate Iowa, the football program, to D2?
Yeah, dude, move North Dakota State up,
or South Dakota State.
Literally,
the Dakotas.
Yeah, either one,
Yeah.
or even Northern Iowa if you want to keep it in the state. Like, they're probably better than Iowa right now too.
Enough on Iowa. Cincinnati with a big win, 29-27 over SMU, keeping themselves in the top 25. Bo Nix.
They did not cover 3.5.
Yeah, they did not cover 3.5. Bo Nix with a hell of a game. Almost 300 yards passing, 5 touchdowns, no interceptions to lead Oregon over UCLA. I mean, this is really kind of a redemption story for Oregon. I mean, this way through the season after getting obliterated 49-3 in that first game against Georgia. It's still weird, right? Because I feel like there's still a case of you've got these top 4 or 5 teams that are going to make the playoffs, and then the problem is like the next 5 or the 6 through 10. I feel like any single one of them would just get obliterated by any of the top 4, and so we say it's the biggest parity of like college football in a long time, and like a lot of years that we've seen. But I feel like there's still such a big discrepancy of like the powerhouses versus just the really good teams.
But if Oregon wins out, do you put them in? Because their only loss would be to a team that you're assuming is going to be in the playoff or just on the outside looking in week 1. In the very first game of the year, where obviously your team is probably going to be at its worst.
I mean, for Oregon, it's the best loss scenario. Obviously, not the best scenario, because the best scenario would have been you would not lost by 46 points.
Right.
But I don't know. That's a hard one. I mean, if you're looking for conference representation, I think you could say that you're pretty confident that Oregon's going to be the Pac-12 champion. Still got USC. I mean, USC has 1 loss, and I mean, this is obviously only 1 loss for UCLA. So there's still a lot up in the air, I think, for the Pac-12.
And I think this, this is not saying a lot, but I think this is the best the Pac-12 has been within the last few years.
Not even close. Yeah, not even close.
Because you have USC, UCLA, Utah, Washington hasn't been bad. Oregon State is like sneaky solid this year too. So no, best that conference has been in a while. So maybe their champion should get in this year if they do only end up with 1 loss.
I don't disagree with that take at all. And probably the most butt-clenching game of the week. Syracuse came to play. Syracuse came to play against Clemson. Clemson squeaks out 27-21 because Clemson pulled a Nick Saban national championship and put in their backup quarterback, and it got the dub. But I mean, Ryan had no faith in the Qs. Ryan said it was going to be a complete blowout. I think I said it was going to be a complete blowout. I mean, even with this loss, got to give some respect to the Syracuse. I mean, they had a hell of a game. Obviously, Clemson. I think Clemson's talent probably just carried them to the end of that game. But yeah,
they just keep squeaking by. Like, Clemson has not looked impressive in a single game this year, but they probably should have lost to Wake Forest.
The NC State
game.
That
NC State game was close up until the end. They went into Tallahassee last weekend and almost let FSU back in that game. FSU got within 6 points. So not overly confident in the Tigers right now.
I mean, the problem is you always have the argument of, but we won every game. It's like, but we won every game, and and Clemson has the name value, and so I mean, it's hard to discount them. But I completely agree with what you're saying. Clemson has not looked incredibly impressive. So moving on from the results of the games, currently, so this is kind of a stranger headline. So Alabama is investigating an incident involving Jermaine Burton after a video on social media appeared to show Burton strike a female fan who rushed the field following Tennessee's 52-49 win over the Crimson Tide on Saturday. And Nick Saban had a press conference and said that he decided not to suspend him. This was not a good look on his part. Obviously, kind of not. I get the environment. I get it's kind of a hostile environment. You don't want people coming after you. But like, this girl went out of his way, and like maybe she was talking trash, so maybe she said something, but she veered around him, and he still like swung out. I think,
and that's watching the video. I don't know how you don't suspend him. And
I
obviously I'm
agree.
not going to make assumption because it looks really bad. But like
Yeah,
to me, it feels like maybe Saban knows something we don't. The fact
yeah,
that he didn't.
yeah.
Because if you're just watching that video, if that's the entire story is in that video, he should have been
No,
suspended.
100%. Yeah,
100%.
yeah,
And so I mean,
definitely.
maybe Saban's just ignoring it. Maybe there's something else we don't know. But if we're gonna take it at what we know, which is that video, then he
Yeah.
probably should have been suspended.
Seems like a bad decision from us staring from the outside, but as Robbie said, I mean, I guess we don't know all the details, but obviously don't hit people, especially not women. Yeah. Let's not do that. So yeah, like I said, game day is going to be at Jackson State. And let me give you a quick update of the AP poll top 25. I'll just go through the top 10. Georgia sitting at number 1. So the top 6 didn't move. We got Georgia at 1, Ohio at 2, Tennessee at 3, Michigan at 4, Clemson at 5, Bama at 6, TCU up 1 spot, going to number 7, Oregon up 2 spots at number 8, Oklahoma State re-entering the top 10 at number 9, and same goes for USC, re-entering the top 10 at number 10.
I believe they're tied with Wake Forest at number 10, I believe.
You are correct. My apologies. You are correct. Wake Forest is number 10. And then I'm trying to see if anyone's. I mean, Syracuse, rightfully so, only got moved down 2 spots to 16.
Do you see who snuck in there down at the very bottom?
Would that be South Carolina?
The South Carolina.
Oh, sorry, I forgot to say that South Carolina beating Texas A&M. Texas A&M sucks.
Bad.
They are
Jimbo's
bad.
On the hot seat.
Oh yeah,
legitimately should be on the hot
seat. Actually though.
No, South Carolina trying to play themselves in a top 25 ranked battle for the Palmetto State with Clemson at the end of the year. Could be. We just talked about that Clemson doesn't look that good. Mm-hmm. Can South Carolina be the team to finally knock them off?
We'll see. I mean, they got Notre Dame, and I mean, even though Notre Dame's had such a weird season, I mean, Notre Dame's still Notre Dame. So I mean, it can.
Notre Dame has the talent to keep up with.
Yeah, 100%. Like, and some of the weirder names in the top 25, obviously Tulane sitting right there at 23 with a 7-1 record. Mm-hmm. We'd love to see that. And then Ryan mentioned it earlier, Illinois at 17. Illinois, probably first time in my life sitting in the top 25, which is really funny. So yeah, that is all I got for college football. Moving on to the MLB. Currently, we officially, the World Series has been set. We have the Phillies taking on the Houston Astros in the World Series. The Houston Astros get out the brooms because the New York Yankees were just swept by the Astros. The Astros had a heck of a series. Jeremy Pena winning the ALCS MVP. The Yankees had nothing on the Astros this series. It was just like, and especially after such a strong regular season showing, and obviously the whole thing about Aaron Judge and the home run record, and this was embarrassing. I mean, quite honestly, this was embarrassing to get swept by. And the Astros are obviously a great team, and this is like their 4th World Series in the last 6 seasons or whatever the crazy stat is. But to not take a single game off. Not take a single game.
The Astros have won a lot of close games in this playoff, though. It feels like they've had a good number where, like, I mean, like for example, Game 4 was 6-5. Mm-hmm. Game 1 was 2-4, then you had 2-3, then 5-0, then 6-5. It wasn't like they were running through them. And then they had a couple games against the Mariners, 7-8, 2-4, and then that 1-0 18 inning slugfest in Game 3 against the Mariners. But I don't even want to watch any of these games. Like, I don't want either of these teams to win, Connor. Like, I can't stress that enough. Like, I don't want either of these teams to win.
Yeah.
The Astros are a bunch of cheaters. I don't like Philly sports.
Yeah.
This is honestly the worst. I would have cheered for the Yankees over the Phillies.
What about the Braves?
Like that. They lost the same day as Alabama. So I didn't even get to be sad about it. Like, I was way more sad about Alabama losing than I was the Braves. That's a bad weekend.
Yeah, you're talking Oklahoma State lost too. So Ryan and Alabama had lost. It was like, oh my god,
Panthers lost, which wasn't surprising, but
Cowboys lost.
We did lose.
The Cowboys lost.
Yeah, bad weekend for the pod.
Bad
weekend for the pod, man.
Disgusting.
That's tough. This World Series sucks. I hate everything about it. And I think the Astros are probably going to win.
I agree.
That's what I would.
I agree. I've been unfortunately, because my roommate is an Astros fan, I have been cheering for the Astros just purely from proximity to the fan.
Yeah.
And
I did pick them to play an NL East team in the World Series.
Okay, there we go.
I did make that prediction when we made our playoff predictions
Okay.
when the playoffs started. So I'll give myself a pat on the back for that one.
Very nice.
But,
I mean, how many games do you think this is going, Rob?
Give me the Astros in 6.
I was gonna say the same thing. I think the Astros will take this in 6 games.
They have not lost a game in the playoffs yet.
Yep. The Golden State Warriors type run at the moment. Yeah, that's pretty incredible. So we'll see. I mean, if they sweep them, I'll hold my hands up. I mean, that's going to be an insane playoff run. We will see. So that's all I have for the MLB. Obviously, not much time left in that season. So yeah, the World Series is up. So the NHL. Let me give you an update on the NHL standings at the moment, because we are also in full swing of that. Sitting at the very, very top. Who do you think's sitting at the top right now, Robbie?
It was the Calgary Flames. I don't know if it still is the Calgary Flames.
They're up there, but currently the Bruins are sitting atop the league at a 5-1 record. Your boys Dallas Stars right below them at a 4-1, and then the Pittsburgh Penguins 4-1, and then the Calgary Flames 4-1. A lot of 4-1 teams. And then sitting at the bottom of the league currently, the Vancouver Canucks with a 0-4 record, with a what was I looking at? Where's the goal differential? With a goal differential of -11. That's actually not the worst in the league. Apparently, the worst in the league is -14 from the Anaheim Ducks. Have the biggest goal differential, who are sitting at a 1-4.
In case you're curious, the Canucks are working on catching the Anaheim Ducks as they are losing currently to the Carolina Hurricanes 1-0 with 8 minutes left in the first period. So they're actively trying to catch the Anaheim Ducks on that goal differential.
And the biggest goal differential in the league currently sits with the Pittsburgh Penguins, who have a +12 goal differential. Like I said, they are 4-1. So I mean, obviously, it's still early season. We will keep you updated as that goes along, but not much to talk about there in regards to the season as a whole. Now we are getting into the NBA. This is something that I don't know a lot about, but this is kind of just a headline I saw. So ESPN sources, Fanatics CEO Michael Rubin has sold his 10% stake in Harris Blitzer Sports and Entertainment, completing a divestment as a limited partner of the Philadelphia 76ers and New Jersey Devils. David Adelman purchased a substantial share of Rubin's stake. That's a lot of stockholder stuff that I know nothing about, but apparently it was important because I saw it on sports Twitter. So I feel like I had to say it.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, you're taking over 2 trash franchises.
Yeah, I mean, you were like, what do you want?
You still own a professional sports team, so that's cool. They'll probably get some sick custom Fanatics merch for those 2 teams.
100%.
So that'll be cool, I guess.
100%. And so the NBA currently, some of the standings, right? There are some shockers in the NBA right now. Notably, the Utah Jazz. I mean, they lost tonight. Are 3-1, which how did that happen? First of all. Why
can't even tank correctly?
They can't tank correctly. Like Lauri Markkanen and Colin Sexton and I keep forgetting this guy's name. It's the rookie that's doing really, really well. I can't remember his name, but there's a rookie that's playing. Benedict Mathurin. He's playing very well for the Jazz. So the Jazz are 3-1. Like Robbie said, can't tank correctly. And the Orlando.
I think there's obviously some other teams that are surprisingly at the top, but I think you're about to start mentioning some of them. But the teams at the bottom of the standings, to me, are the big surprises of this early NBA season.
100%. Oh, I would fully agree.
You have the Philadelphia 76ers, who started 0-3, have gotten on the board now, but are sitting at 1-3. The Miami Heat at 1-3. I think a team that we said for a while now is consistently underrated. Well, it looks like they might be correctly rated for once this year.
Hey, Robbie.
And then
what are the Lakers? What's the Lakers record?
Let me check. Hold on.
Yeah.
I think they're 0-3.
Oh God, that.
It's what's crazy. They didn't change their team any from last year. Arguably made the team worse from last year. And they're still really bad.
They're cooking like Russ.
It's truly
they're cooking like Russ. Russ is cooking.
I think the Jazz are noticing that they're winning too much because there was a report today that they're looking into trading for Russell Westbrook again.
There's no why.
Because they're winning too many games. What do you mean why?
Do you want Colin?
We need Russ.
Do you want Colin Sexton for Russell? Yes, yes, I do.
They're talking about trading him like Rudy Gay. Because like the Lakers need shooters. It's like, let's put out geriatric Rudy Gay on a walker out there and shoot. He'd still be the best 3-point shooter on the Lakers.
Exactly. He'd still be the best shooter on the Lakers. It's just like that.
But
oh my god.
Yeah, they're looking at resuming trade talks that could involve Jordan Clarkson, Mike Conley, and Rudy Gay.
Why would you trade Jordan? He's actually, I mean, I know the tank, but like Jordan Clarkson's good for Russell Westbrook.
But if you're the Lakers, why do you want Mike Conley or Rudy Gay?
Well, yeah, they're both
like,
old.
Are you actively trying to open like a geriatric home? Like, what are we doing? Like, LeBron is about to leave y'all, and your average age is going to be 37. That's with LeBron leaving. I mean, Jesus, man. But the Lakers are a dumpster fire, and they're not going to get any better.
Why is Portland 3-0? Why are the Trailblazers 3-0?
Because Dame is him. Because Dame is him.
Dame is actually him. I mean, other non-shock. The Milwaukee's 2-0, not a shocker. Boston 3-1. Charlotte's 2-1 without LaMelo.
Yeah, they beat like the Spurs and someone else that are like, bottom of the table. Yeah. I don't even remember who they beat.
Some weird standings, but
very funny. They beat the Hawks. That's a good win for the Hornets. But
and sitting there at 1-2, the Brooklyn Nets, and I'm gonna read a headline, Robbie. The Brooklyn Nets apparently are dead last in the NBA when it comes to season ticket sales. What is that? What goes through your head when you hear that?
That no one really likes Kyrie Irving or Kevin Durant, which I mean, I think sometimes we talk up too much, the personalities of these players and how much they actually impact how people want to watch them. But you're talking about two of the most standoffish guys in the NBA in terms of personality,
but also two of the most skilled guys, maybe the 100%. Two most skilled guys in the NBA.
Absolutely, but it just people want to see you like act like you want to be there, and Kyrie never looks like he be there. And I think Katie's the opposite way, that he wants to be there too much. He looks like he doesn't want to be there. He's only there to hoop.
Dude, the memes about Katie he only does basketball is the only thing he does.
Yeah,
they're so funny,
but probably true. That's the thing.
That's his whole life. So yeah, that's kind of an interesting thing there. So tell me if I'm getting this name wrong, because I know he's on the Hornet. Is it James Bouknight or Bouknight?
Bouknight.
Okay, he
played at UConn.
Yeah, so here's a headline right here. James Bouknight was arrested on October 16th for driving while impaired. He was most recently charged with reckless driving to endanger on October 10th, reckless driving, wanton disregard on November 11th, 2021, and again on February 23rd, 2022. What do you do? Like, you get him off the team? Yeah. Like, it's just so...
No, it feels like it's a second, bad culture guy the Hornets have had recently, with Miles Bridges also obviously turning out to be an awful human being.
Yeah, well, it's just like repeated. It's also repeated offenses, and it's like, at this point, get him off.
Yeah, either get him off or actually get him some help and stop ignoring it. Because clearly, up until this point, it seems like we've just been ignoring it.
Yeah.
So something's got to change.
Charlotte's great at that.
This is true. This is true.
Speaking of the Lakers' struggles, apparently Russell Westbrook said he absolutely believes that Lakers coach Darvin Ham's decision to bring him off the bench in LA's preseason finale could have caused the hamstring strain he suffered that night.
Yeah, because Russ doesn't want to come off the bench. Of course he's going to say that. Like...
Oh my God. I hate that. Like, that headline makes me... Oh, I hate it.
Did you see the interview with Russ? And like, it was after he went 0-11 against the Clippers, and like someone asked him like, how would you rate your play tonight? He's like, I think I played all right.
I think I played all right. I think it was fine.
It's like, bro, you went 0-11. You should not even be touching the court right now. That man has no business being on an NBA team right now. Honestly,
there was a video where there was like, I can't remember. I don't know if they were up or what the situation was, but there was 30 seconds left in the game or something like that. And basically Russ, he has the ball on the right side of the court, and AD and LeBron are on the left side of the court. And Russ pulls up from mid range, bricks it, of course. And LeBron and AD both have the same reaction, where they're like, their hands are on their head. They're like, what are you doing?
Like the LeBron, like J.R. Smith,
literally, they're like, what?
Same reaction.
Him and AD were both like, why are you shooting the ball?
Jesus.
The Lakers are in shambles.
Yeah, I mean, like, Russ saying that he thinks that the bench injured him is like I don't know. I'm trying to think of something to compare it to. That's like me saying that, I think salads are the reason that I'm fat. Like, I want to eat things other than salads. I'm going to blame it on salads so I can eat more
Yeah.
burgers.
Yeah,
Like, that's
100%.
essentially what we're doing
Yeah.
here. Like, it's the same idea. It's
Yeah. No, I get
so
it.
bad. Yeah, he's so bad.
So continuing on with the Lakers, apparently the Lakers remain highly interested in trading for Terry Rozier out of Charlotte. No, I don't want.
Cool. I mean, like, cool. Like, that gets you,
Okay,
like, that might get you into the play-in game. Like, maybe
not at this rate, which is so
No,
weird. They
no.
were the champs in 2020. Like it's I don't know, and I don't even feel like LeBron and AD are playing bad. It's I guess Russ is just that bad, dude. I don't know.
The more that they play like this, the more that people are going to be able to say that the Mickey Mouse title is a sham.
No, like
the
actually,
more that the Lakers are bad, like going forward. I mean, although you got to say, I mean, they were the number 1 seed in the playoffs that year too. So obviously they had a decent regular season, but it just doesn't make a lot of sense.
Well, that was also which I still don't understand. Obviously, their roster is a lot different, and with Russ and Patrick Beverley, it's harder to do this. But people don't remember that year. LeBron was running the point that year. Put LeBron at the point guard position. Like your team opens up so much when you have LeBron in the point guard position. I don't care about Russell Westbrook. Bring his dumb ass, pardon my French, off the bench. Like
let him play like 5 minutes a game.
Honestly.
Like just right the way this version of Russell Westbrook has no business playing substantial minutes for this.
It's like the OKC Thunder.
Absolutely,
it's the same situation as the OKC Thunder Carmelo. It's the same exact thing. Like
no business playing minutes.
Yeah,
honestly, I would rather see Pat Bev out there locking up.
No, actually,
for 35 minutes a game.
And I'll give props to Westbrook. He's actually a relatively decent defender, but when you're taking 15 shots and you're making 2 of them every game, it's like, come on. Like
on a team that already is struggling to shoot, you can't bring in someone like Westbrook who has never been able to shoot the basketball ever. I mean, I'm curious what Russ's like highest 3-point percentage
maybe during his like
maybe
his triple-double like MVP season, he might have been all right. Like
maybe, yeah, but there's just, I mean, he doesn't bring you the skill set that you need, and he's just taking shots away from someone like AD or LeBron who should be taking those shots.
It's just, I just want to say, I'm just trying to look at his field goal. I just want to know what it is. I mean, you can't, 28. His 3-point percentage is, oh wait, no, wait, that's the regular. Oh yeah, no, 28%. His 3-point percentage is 8. He's shooting 28% from the field. He is the starting point guard. He's shooting 28% from the field.
And it'd be one thing if he was taking like 5 shots a game. But he's taking how many field goals is he attempting a game?
He's shooting 13, 12 shots a game. So I was like close when I said 2 for 15. That wasn't a joke. That was an actual fact.
That man is wasting over 10 shot attempts per game. That should be going to someone else.
God. I knew it was bad, but I didn't until I started looking at the stats. I didn't. Wow. Russ needs to figure it out. Wow. Okay, so moving on from that, apparently
what's going on with dudes named Russell? Sorry, just one more thing. What is going on with dudes named Russell this year? Just a bad year for Russells. Anyways.
You're right though. So yeah, moving on. The Bucks and Suns have engaged in trade conversations for Jay Crowder, per Shams. Apparently, the Heat and Hawks reportedly remain interested as well. So I mean, that's kind of an interesting name that a lot of teams are searching for. I mean, he's a good spot up shooter and defensive guy, but what did you say?
Which one of those teams is he on? Because he's played
Suns.
For all
he's on the Suns right now.
Okay, all right, good to know.
So yeah,
I know he's been on the Heat and Hawks. Has he been on the Bucks before? Maybe not, but he's been on the Heat and the Hawks before for sure.
Yeah. That's right. But yeah, so apparently the Bucks are currently looking to try to get him from the Suns. But yeah, the Heat and the Hawks are interested as well. I mean, like I said, good spot up shooter, good defensive guy. I mean, he's just a very
good 3-and-D guy.
Yeah, very very solid role player all around. So it definitely makes sense why some of these, because all those teams are playoff teams, so it makes sense why all those teams would be looking for him. So yeah, I mean that is all I have in terms of the NBA. Robbie, would you like to hear your beloved Brentford Bees position in the Premier League? Because
I would love nothing more.
Because we have to go through our Premier League standings for our international fans, for our audience.
all of our fans on the other side of the pond.
On the other side of the pond. So yeah, sitting atop the league, Arsenal. 9-1-1. I mean, this is a season for Arsenal. I mean, if this isn't the season to win it, I don't know what is for Arsenal right now. 9-1
They actually
one.
just had their first draw yesterday
Okay.
with
There we go.
Southampton. So
Okay.
there you
Interesting.
go.
Southampton, they're way low. That's weird. Man
Yeah.
City at number 2 right now. Tottenham at 3. Newcastle. Where did Newcastle come from? Kind of making a surprise
Were we
appearance.
were we talking about them at the bottom of the table not that long ago?
I don't think they were bottom, but
No,
they
that was
they
West Ham.
weren't
That was
they weren't
West
this
Ham.
high. Yeah, they weren't this high.
No.
So Newcastle kind of making a surprise entrance at a 5-6-1 record. Chelsea still in that area at 6-3-2, and then Man United at 6-2-3. Fulham at 7 with 5-3-4 record. Number 8 is Liverpool with a 4-4-3. Number 9 is Brighton with a 4-3-4. And then West Ham really pulling themselves up by their bootstraps. They're at number 10, 4-2-6 after a rough start. Their goal differential is only -1 now. So there we go. And then in the where are your Brentford bees? Where are they? Oh, they're right. Excuse me, they're right there, number 11 at 3-5-4 record. So they're not near relegation. So you should be all right for right now. In a good spot. In the relegation zone, we have Leeds United, which is surprising. Leeds usually is higher. So at 2-3-6, Wolves at 2-3-7, and then Nottingham Forest is at the bottom, and they haven't gotten out of the bottom for a few weeks now. So I don't know. Nottingham Forest not looking good at a 2-3-7 record.
Leeds is managed by an American too. He's the only American manager in the Premier League right now, I believe. So
that's cool. So the lowest goal differential currently Bournemouth is at 14, and then they're tied with the biggest goal differential with Nottingham Forest, both at -15. So I'm assuming Bournemouth just got obliterated in one game, and it hasn't, they
had like a 7-0 loss to like one of those top teams.
There it is.
I remember seeing that.
And then the biggest goal differential, Man City, who's number 2 with a 25 goal differential. So they've had a couple of ass kickings on their end.
Yeah.
To have that high of a goal differential. So that's the Premier League as it stands. I have a few miscellaneous headlines right here. NASCAR has suspended driver Bubba Wallace for one race after he spun reigning champion Kyle Larson at Las Vegas and then confronted him afterwards. I'm not completely sure what happened in this situation, but I just saw, I saw the headlines, and Bubba Wallace had confronted Kyle Larson after, like I said, they spun out. So NASCAR decided to suspend Bubba Wallace.
Seems reasonable.
Seems reasonable. Creating a scene, and obviously you want to make sure everything's under control there. We have last week Ryan and I talked about the men's college basketball AP poll. So like literally a couple hours after that, of course, the women's one came out. So I'm gonna read that. I'm gonna read the top 10 college women's basketball poll off for you real quick, Robbie. Number 1, South Carolina. Not much of a surprise there. They were the dominant team of last year. Number 2, Stanford, which I don't remember seeing as much last year. So that one's a little interesting. Number 3, Texas. Not surprised there. Number 4, Iowa. They need something good. Number 5, Tennessee. So apparently Tennessee's kicking butt in football and women's basketball this year. Number 6, as always, we got UConn. Number 7, Louisville. Number 8, Iowa State. So Iowa and Iowa State both grazing the top 10. Kind of interested there. Number 9, Notre Dame. And number 10, well, you don't see all too often, in any sport in the top 10, NC State gracing the top 10 of women's basketball. So there's the top 10 of women's basketball, the preseason poll. Here is go ahead, Rob.
I was just gonna say, it's exactly how I expected the preseason poll to be in women's basketball.
Yeah. Did you predict that? Did you have that like on a board?
Yeah. Let me pull it up real quick. It's actually on my bed. I'll just bring my list over.
Here is a golf one for you, Rob. So the PGA Tour is set to announce this week that the WM Phoenix Open, RBC Heritage, Wells Fargo Championship, and Travelers Championship will be among 13 elevated events with at least $20 million purses in 2023, sources confirmed to ESPN on Tuesday. I'm assuming this is in light of the LIV stuff and obviously all the money that's going there. So what are your thoughts on this?
Yeah, it's definitely in competition with the LIV Tour. These are pretty big events on the PGA Tour calendar. They're the ones, they're picking the ones that they expect the bigger players to go to. And like, for example, the Heritage, like I think Rory's won it the last 2 years. Obviously the waste management is always huge. That's the one at the stadium course where they're all around the par 3, always a big tournament. Same with the Wells Fargo. So I think good selections, and definitely direct competition with the LIV Tour, trying to get those players to not leave the PGA Tour for more money if the PGA Tour can offer more money.
Of course. Yeah. There's that one. And then I have one more miscellaneous headline. Max Verstappen, I mean, who had already has everything that he could ever want in terms of a racing career, has won the U.S. Grand Prix. Let me see if I can get these names right. He ties Michael Schumacher and Sebastian Vettel for most races won in a season, and I don't think it's even close to done yet. So I mean, Max Verstappen, I think everyone knows, is the F1 GOAT at this point. I mean, Lewis Hamilton is obviously up there too, but Verstappen just seems to be on another level right now, and he's just winning everything. That is all I have for the miscellaneous headlines. Robbie, do you have anything else specific that you wanted to address?
I don't, but I have a suggestion for our next segment.
Okay.
We discussed that we're going to change it up a little bit.
Yeah.
For our viewers out there, if you're on Instagram Reels or TikTok or whatever social media you may have, you've probably seen other podcasts doing this. We definitely don't want to take credit for this being fully our idea, but to change it up from the tier list, we're going to start doing drafts of various things. Still in line with the sports podcast of doing a draft. And Connor, I think with it being Halloween next weekend, that we should do a candy bar.
I think that's a great idea. I really like that idea.
Thank you.
I think that's a good one. Before we get into that, Robbie, do you by any chance have a song of the week for us? Any song?
I do.
Oh, okay.
Actually, I do. And it allows us to talk about something else that we enjoy. So for those of you who didn't see, the first trailer dropped for Ant-Man and the Wasp: Quantumania today.
I need to watch that. I haven't seen that yet. And
the song in the background was Follow the Yellow Brick Road by Elton John.
Okay.
Which is a fantastic song. And I mean, can't hit on Elton John in general, but this is also one that I think probably not as many people, not Goodbye Yellow Brick Road. Let me correct myself.
Okay.
But classic Elton John song. Like I said, led into the trailer, which I thought was very good. Looks like the movie's going to be fantastic. So go check that out for sure.
I think that is a great selection. I'm going to go with my song of the week. Is going to be Do You Remember by Jay Sean. Jay Sean is most notably known for Down, but I feel like Do You Remember always goes under the radar. It's on that same album. And that Do You Remember is a bop. And I want to make sure people don't forget about that song.
I think that is a fantastic selection as well.
So, we got great songs of the week here on the podcast. So Robbie, when you say that this draft is going to be candy bar, does this have to be like straight candy bar? Or like, can you clarify? Is this any candy? What are you saying here?
I think anything that you could find in the candy bar aisle of a gas station.
Okay.
You have to be able to buy it in like a singular wrapped thing, like a singular container.
Yeah.
And it has to be able to be found in the candy bar aisle of a gas station. Because I actually bring this up because I watched one on Instagram that I just disagreed with because they skipped one that is probably candy bar adjacent.
Okay. So let me give you an example. So like you wouldn't want something like Skittles here, like you don't want that. Like you say candy bar when you say candy bar, I think of like chocolate.
I know I'm gonna allow Skittles because you can still buy it in a package that one person could eat in one.
Oh, okay.
Granted, that's a wide range. You know what I'm saying? Like same thing with if you want to really go like Sour Patch Kids, I guess I'd give that to you.
Okay.
But those are still candy bars of a adjacent form.
Yeah. Let's see. So I'm writing some selections down just so are we gonna go 5 picks? Because that's what I usually see is 5 picks.
Yeah, we'll go 5. I think if we have all 3 of us on, I think we go 4.
Okay,
I think
that's
4
fair.
Feels like a good number. That put us at 12.
Okay. Let's see. I'm making my list. I've got a good number. I know I'm leaving something out. I'm trying to remember what I'm leaving out.
All right. Well, you being younger, I will let you have the first overall pick, Connor Doyle.
First overall pick. Oh, God. Do I go with the staple or do I go with my heart? Am I trying to make the best or am I trying to make what my favorite would be? That's what I'm trying to think what I want to do here.
Do you want to pick what you love or do you want to make the fans happy? I think that's what you're really asking yourself right now.
I think I'm going to be a smart GM here. I think I'm going to go with my head over my heart.
Okay.
I'm going to go with Hershey's. I'm just going to go with the classic, the reliable.
Milk chocolate Hershey's?
It's still so popular. It's just, I think that Hershey's is the classic.
That's tough. That's tough.
All right.
I think the 1.2 pick. This is the one I was really upset I didn't see on the last list that I saw, and I could see the argument that it's not a candy bar. However, I think that it is a candy bar, and I think it's close enough, and that is going to be Reese's Peanut Butter Cups.
I would give that to you 100%. That was honestly one of my other number one selection.
It's the classic. I will never not eat a Reese's if it's in a shape other than a cup too. That automatically makes it taste better. Like, give me the Christmas tree Reese's, give me the Easter Bunny Reese's,
dude.
like
the eggs,
any of those. Yeah, exactly. I
done.
will sit down and eat
It's
so
done.
many Reese's eggs. It is absurd.
I think it's a great
pick. Why does it taste better in different shapes?
Dude,
I don't because it definitely does.
Oh,
It definitely does. It's like Sprite out of a McDonald's soda fountain. It's the same thing, but you know that it tastes better.
Mm-hmm.
All right, do I get to go 2.1? We gonna snake it back and forth?
Yeah, go. Yeah, let's do. Why not 2.1?
I'm gonna keep going with some fan favorites, and I'll probably get into some of my under the radar favorites. We're gonna go with the Snickers bar on this next one. Just the OG, I think everyone either tolerates or likes Snickers. I don't think you can really hate on a Snickers bar.
I feel like I got two here that I'm tempted by. And they're kind of in the same vein in my eyes. I'm gonna go with M&Ms. I'm gonna go with M&Ms to try to keep it on the chocolate, and I'm gonna take. And
can I ask any specific type of M&Ms? We'll just say M&Ms as a whole. I'm not going to sit here and come back and pick peanut butter M&Ms.
No, I love peanut butter M&Ms. Peanut butter M&Ms are the pretzel ones. Good. The pretzel ones are also really good. Those are but the peanut butter ones are gas.
The fudge brownie ones are pretty good too. I know you had the fudge brownie ones.
They have fudge brownie M&Ms.
Dude, they're really good. They're so good.
It's gonna have to be a cup.
You're like, what time is the 7-Eleven until tonight?
That sounds really good. Number 3, I'm gonna take I guess you could kind of call it the cousin. This is another one that I just think has a really strong fan base behind it, and the people that love it. So I'm gonna go with Skittles. I'm gonna go with the 1-2 punch there.
Yeah, when you said it was like M&Ms, I figured Skittles were coming next.
Yep. So I'm gonna take that.
All right, I'm gonna go with one that is for sure a candy bar, and one that's one of my personal favorites that I think doesn't get enough love.
Okay.
And that is the Payday bar.
I hate that.
I love Paydays, and they now have a chocolate covered Payday bar that I haven't had yet. Yeah. It's just simple, man. What else do you need? Peanut butter and caramel. That's all I need. It's so good. Underrated candy bar. I'm going to give it the love that it deserves at the 3.2 pick.
Okay.
And then the fourth pick, I'm going to do similar to you with Skittles. I'm going to go with one that maybe isn't a candy bar, but you can buy it in a candy bar shaped wrapper. Yeah. That's going to be Sour Patch Kids.
Okay. I respect that.
I love Sour Patch Kids.
It's got a heck of a punch. I mean, or young prospect that is popular. I think that's a great
great marketing too. Great commercials always. Same with Skittles. I feel like Skittles has fantastic marketing all the time.
See, here's you're picking candy that's already at the top. I'm picking candy that had to struggle to get to where it's at, and that's where I'm going with on my next pick. The most improved player, I would argue, of any candy ever, Twix. I think Twix is the most with the whole left and right Twix, the whole rebrand of just Twix as a whole. I think Twix is the most improved candy ever. And I think Twix is now a staple of like the chocolate candy bar community.
It's funny, so we have like a candy bowl at my house that we've been we have 2 teachers that work at my house, and like they take candy in and they get to fill up the candy bowl, and they'll take candy out of the bowl and we keep filling it up. And every time I get a bag of candy to fill up the candy bowl of the house, Twix is always in the mix.
It's Twix.
Every single mix has Twix in it.
It's the role player.
It fills all the gaps. Yeah, I don't know that I ever want to go out of my way to singularly buy a Twix.
But when you have it, this kind of hits.
Right.
You forget about it.
I'm not gonna be mad.
Yeah, that's all. Yeah, exactly.
I'm not gonna be mad.
So I love a Twix there.
Your final pick, sir, at 5-1.
This one's hard. All right, I got a few that I'm gonna let you know the ones that I'm crossing off. The ones that I had on my list that I'm crossing off. Okay, we're not going with Crunch. We're not gonna go with Crunch. Okay. I'm not feeling Crunch. We're not gonna go with Three Musketeers. We're not gonna go with Baby Ruth. I feel those kind of all give me the same vibe, and I'm not really here for it.
That gives me happiness because I have 2, and neither of them are on that list.
Okay.
So I have 2 in my mind still. That I think we let slip a little bit. To be honest, I think we let them both slip.
Okay.
So I'm curious what you go with here.
Now I still have 4 on my list, and I'm gonna eliminate one because this is a personal one that I know as many people don't like. Milky Way. I'm not. That's why I'm eliminating that. But I love Milky. I think Milky Way is gas. I love Milky Way.
As a child, Milky Way was always my
that
favorite
thing
candy.
hits.
Always, actually. Yeah.
Milky Way is great.
Also not one of mine though. Also not one of the 2 I've left.
Okay. So I'm gonna read you my last 3, and I already know which one I'm gonna go with because this one's gonna be my heart. I'm going with my heart. I have Kit Kat, I have Mike and Ike, and I have Starburst. And I think I'm going with a sleeper out of all 3, Mike and Ike. I love Mike and Ike. I think Mike and Ike is the best fruit candy. And that's just my personal taste, just how I feel about fruit candy. I think Mike and Ike is phenomenal. So I'm gonna go with Mike and Ike at that 5 slot. Did I mention any of the 2 that you have?
You mentioned Kit Kat.
Okay.
However, and we are gonna catch some slack.
What's his last one? Yeah.
Kit Kat. One of my all-time favorite candy bars that does not get nearly enough love.
Okay.
Give me a Butterfinger at the very last pick.
You did not pick a Payday and a Butterfinger, dude.
Give me a Butterfinger, dude. I love Butterfingers. The texture is so unique and unmatched. Give me a Butterfinger.
I'll give you that Butterfinger. Butterfinger, as I've gotten older, has grown on me. But when I was younger, I did not like Butterfinger.
I've always loved Butterfingers.
That's an interesting one.
That last round is gonna get us in some trouble. Going Mike and Ike and Butterfingers over a Kit Kat.
Yeah. Well, go ahead.
Do we agree then that Kit Kat is one of the more overrated candy bars?
I don't know if it's. I like Kit Kat. Yeah, maybe a little bit overrated, but I do like Kit Kat.
I'm not gonna say it's bad. I just think there's better options.
Yeah, I would agree with that. Well, the one I had on my list, Starburst. People love Starburst, and so I'm like, I
am actually surprised I didn't go Starburst. Yeah. I do love Starburst.
Starburst. I'm trying to think of something like Swedish Fish is kind of gas. Like Swedish Fish is actually pretty good.
Yeah. The flavored Swedish Fish, if you get the one that has like the 5 flavors in it too, not just the red ones, also gas.
I mean, I think we kind of covered the main ones. I'm trying to think of any others that we missed.
Can we agree on something here? I was actually talking to someone about this
Almond Joy is terrible. Yeah.
That's if you go to a gas station with your friend and they willingly go pick up either an Almond Joy or Mounds,
this was not scripted.
They're no longer your friend.
I did not know he was going to say that. They are no
longer your friend. You can no longer hang out with them. They need to be examined. And I say this to someone who actually doesn't hate Almond Joy or Mounds. Like, I like coconut.
No.
But I'm never going to walk into a gas station and walk out with one of those.
Dude, have you seen the Family Guy bit? It's like Quagmire's flying his plane or whatever, and Joe's next to him. He's like, Joe unwraps candy bar, and Quagmire's like, what's that? And Joe's like, oh, you want half of a Mounds bar? And he looks at him, he's like, who the hell gets a Mounds bar? He's like,
literally, that's...
that's
there are just so many other things you could buy, and you decided to get that. No, we're not friends anymore.
What are your thoughts on hot tamales?
I don't like anything artificially cinnamon flavored. Okay. I don't fuck with hot tamales.
Okay.
I don't fuck with Big Red. Mm-hmm. I just don't. I like cinnamon like in like an apple pie, but like outside that guy, I hate Fireball too, for example.
Okay.
Like anything cinnamon, I'm not a big cinnamon guy.
Okay, that's valid.
So.
Yeah, I mean, I think we pretty much covered. I mean, the main. I mean, are you a candy corn guy? Do you like?
I do actually. I actually do like candy corn.
It's like I don't think it's as bad as people make it out to be, but it's like
I'm that guy that like candy corn gets brought to the party and no one else is eating it, and I'm the one
munching out of the bowl.
Like, yeah, I'm just the guy munching up. Like again, it's not one of those things I go buy for myself, but if it's right there, I'm gonna eat it because I do enjoy candy corn. But yeah, I'm definitely like the candy corn vacuum guy at the Halloween party. That's 100% me. But I accept that role.
So yeah, just to cover the picks one more time, and then we can sign off. So my picks were Hershey's, M&M's, Skittles, Twix, and Mike and Ike. And Robbie's picks were Reese's, Snickers, Payday, Sour Patch Kids, and Butterfinger. I think that's a solid draft class all around. I think we got some
I
potential
agree.
there. I think we got some good
Maybe
vets
maybe
there, some
we'll
good
let
rookies.
maybe we'll put this up on the Instagram and let
Yeah,
Ryan pick 5 more that we didn't pick.
yeah, he
We'll
has
let him
to.
since he didn't wake up in
Yeah,
time for the
yeah.
pod. We will let him take his
Y-
pick of what's
You
left.
have to pick mounds.
Yeah, can we make him take Mounds as his
Mounds and
number one?
almond
Can we like
joy, just like the worst
yeah,
stuff.
we're just so he feels bad and everyone
Oh
makes
yeah,
fun of him and not
yeah,
us. I think
100%.
that's fair.
I think that's
Right,
fair too.
right. We'll,
Yeah, yeah.
we'll make that happen. Anything else tonight, Connor?
No, that is all I have for this week.
We will attempt next week to maybe get all 3 of us on at the same
Hopefully.
time. We will shoot again for Monday night, but we will see how that goes. I should be good for Monday nights from now on, unless I have another
Yeah,
work trip come up. But
I
I
am too.
don't have any planned currently, so Monday nights should be locked in for us going forward. Hopefully,
I mean,
if
that
Ryan stops.
I think that works better too because we have obviously other than one NFL game, we get to cover kind of the NFL and the AB poll and all that stuff. So yeah, I think Monday nights works well. So you want to sign us off?
Absolutely. For myself and Connor and kind of Ryan, not tonight. We appreciate you listening into the pod, and we look forward to seeing you next week. Please gamble responsibly.